right, so Ray Allen reunited with his Celtics teammates. It's great because you remember what happened at the All-Star game when KG was just, looking away, looking mad. Everybody was, being happy and all
Those
that.
Those guys are never going to make up.
But now they are. So it got us thinking about some of the best beefs in the NBA.
Yep.
And which ones we would like to see reunite.
Okay. Like squashed? Because nobody wins when the family feuds, C-Dub. So.
I knew you were going to say that.
All right.
I knew you were going to say that. Okay,
We'll
so we're gonna go through some of the best beefs. Okay, we have a few of them that have been absolutely notorious.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Jokic brothers and the Morris twins, because in November, Markieff Morris committed a hard foul on Nikola Jokic, who retaliated with a shove from behind.
There
and
it
of course,
is right there. I mean,
it all escalated into some spicy tweets, and that's how you know it's a beef, because you go from the court to social media. Brian, I want to ask you this. What are the chances of these two sets of brothers making up?
So I know the Morris twins personally, and I've heard a lot about the Jokic brothers, and I would say neither side is going to yield. I think the best thing you could hope for here is kind of a truce. I don't think either side feels great about the way this went down, but for all parties involved, it's an uneasy truce, but it could flare up at any moment. And remember, that's 6 games against a Morris twin per year for Jokic, so lots of opportunity there.
All right, here's the thing. I think the Morris brothers finally met their match in the NBA as it relates to somebody who's not scared and who won't back down. Listen, the Jokic brothers have nothing to lose, all right? They're taking care of Big Bro's mess while he's doing his thing, putting up triple-doubles, being a walking MVP. And here's proof that this thing is not going to be in any kind of ceasefire, so to speak, anytime soon. I was scrolling on the Jokic brothers Twitter account, which they created just to chirp at Markieff Morris specifically. And Wendy, they tweeted at him 4 days ago, calling him a crybaby. 3 tweets, March 12th, crybaby, crybaby, crybaby. So there will be no squashing this beef, and I'm all here for it because these guys also operate like a thief in the night. We don't really have a face to them. They don't even have an avatar on their Twitter page. So I like this beef. It's cool. It's friendly so far. And I think it's giving us a touch of fodder.
Okay. How about we talk about Giannis and Harden? Because I feel like this is a really good one. So they have been beefing since the Beard came in second to the Greek Freak in the 2018-19 MVP voting. Since then, the two have taken multiple public jabs at each other. And there has been tension when the two share the court. Giannis has recently tried to downplay the beef, act like it doesn't really exist. Brian, do you buy that?
Well, considering I think there's a good chance of these guys seeing each other in the playoffs this year, no, I don't buy it. I think they're going to be kind. They're going to sort of downplay it in the regular season, but forget about words. I'll judge it on actions. And if they see each other in the postseason, Giannis is going to hunt down James Harden because he is going to see him as a guy he can dominate on the defensive end. So I am here for it, and I want to see this series happen. Not as bad as I want to see Nets-Sixers, but I'll take I'll take Sixers-Bucks too.
This is good. This is real good. And this is a lose-lose in my estimation, Wendy and C-Dub, for James Harden, because Giannis is not just loved here locally and nationally. He's globally loved and admired, and everybody's like, oh, shucks, Giannis is the 7-footer next door, and James Harden is the guy who maybe carries a worse rep than Giannis. So everybody, to a man, maybe outside of Philly, is Team Giannis in this situation. So the best thing James Harden can do is hope this goes away, because Giannis doesn't have to prepare for anything. He can react to something, okay? He doesn't have to prepare for it. He'll just react, and then, the smile and the charm wins everybody over, wins all the third-party people over. So I'm with it. Give me that matchup in the playoffs so that way we can root more for Yanni Vowels fighting against his arch nemesis, James Harden.
Are they already kind of reunited then in that case?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's an ongoing beef. I love it.
Okay. Let's take it way back. Well, not that far back. It's not that far. I'm not going to make these people feel like they're that old. To the MJ days. In The Last Dance, Michael Jordan made it very clear that he genuinely disliked longtime rival Isiah Thomas. And it was rumored that MJ was the reason Isiah Thomas was left off of the Dream Team, even though he denies it. So, Brian, do you believe one Michael Jordan?
I met the qualifications for that team. I mean, this is an iconic moment that was created that made the beef even worse because it spilled over 30 years to the documentary, which, by the way, all kinds of young kids who weren't even alive when these guys were playing are now going to see and watch the beef get inflamed even more. So I would have thought if you'd come to me 2 years ago and said, hey, are MJ and Isiah going to be able to get past this? I'd be like, of course. They're getting to be graybeards. They don't need this in their lives. Well, guess what? It's in their lives. It's further. This is going nowhere. When we have the reunion of the Last Dance, which I hope we have in 15 years, it might even get worse.
That's bad. That's bad news for Isiah Thomas. And it's all his fault. It is all his fault. Before the Saints had Bountygate, all right, the Pistons had the Jordan rules. They started this. Michael Jordan was just a skinny kid from UNC trying to make it past a certain round of the playoffs, and they specifically were like, yo, Jordan, anytime you go to the cup, you're going to end up on your rear end and on your backside. He's the reason he got all Jack Diesel the next season, right? So Isiah Thomas and those bad boy Pistons teams have to sleep in the bed that they've made, and that was the bed that they made, picking on the wrong dude. Of course, they didn't anticipate Jordan evolving into the guy that he became, the greatest of all time. But listen, man, those are the battles that you chose to fight, and you're still fighting them 50 years later, man. That's all on IT. That is all on IT. But, Brian, I'm kind of with you. It is going to get kind of weird when we do see, not Jordan, but, IT with the gray looks and the wrinkled faces. That's going to be kind of weird when we see those two legends, still beefing into their 70s. So maybe they should squash it in the next decade or so.
I agree. It's been
no
a
way.
minute. It's been a minute.
No way.
Okay, Chris Paul and Rajon Rondo, who I feel like
this one's kind of
always
underrated.
has some issues with people.
Yeah.
They've been beefing for over 10 years. The two even exchanged this little situation in 2018.
Oh, I forgot about
I remember when
that.
this happened, and we were like, what? But I feel like we weren't surprised from Rondo, because I feel like he just has a little hot head. Brian, why do you think that these two are always having issues with one another?
The best part about that was LeBron came over and was on Chris Paul's side. He had just joined the Lakers. He's like, let me take care of you, CP. Let me take care of you. That was iconic right there as well. Look, these two guys both annoy the heck out of people that they play against, and they're both smart, and so they know how to get under your skin, both with the way they play and how they say things, and they are just like two brothers who fought for 15 years while they were growing up and will fight forever. Now, I do believe after their playing careers are over, these are two guys that can sit there in a restaurant and share a glass of wine and smile and laugh about it. But while they're playing, no way. Two major competitors who are too much alike to get along.
Yeah, while they're still playing, Rajon Rondo, the kind of guy to sneak back in the kitchen and give CP a little something extra in his dish. Rajon Rondo, I kind of liken him to Pat Beverly. They're always prickly, and those are always guys that you hate playing against, but you're okay if they're playing on your team because they're prickly, they're touch surly, and they're going to give you the business to your superstar player, not going to back down from them in any sense of the imagination. The thing with CP is nobody ever imagines him as somebody getting in the thick of it and getting swung on and swinging back. So that rivalry has always been kind of strange to me. I don't see any sort of outcome coming out of it other than, those guys are going to retire and then laugh about it and have some chuckles at the end of it. But until then, it's just we don't like you. We're going to keep it pushing.
Okay, and at number one, we have Michael Jordan, who I feel like is at number one in a lot of different ways, but he has to be at number one in this because of that. And this one, actually, it came to light during the Last Dance documentary because we actually found out that former teammate Scottie Pippen clearly holds a lot of resentment after being portrayed as Jordan's sidekick for the entirety of his career. And he even called MJ condescending in his memoir. And I love that Scottie Pippen went on a media tour after that because he was just going off at the mouth about a lot of different things. So,
yeah.
Wendy, do you feel like they will ever be able to make up?
So while he was being interviewed for that documentary, he was working with us at ESPN, and I was spending time with him, hanging out in green rooms with him, listening to him tell stories. In the past, he and Michael had gotten sideways about some stuff, but it mostly stayed private. They even had times where they didn't talk for a while, and they always got back together. So I am hoping that's what happens here, because I've heard the way Scottie feels about it, and I appreciate his perspective, but some of the stuff that he said on those media tour, and the other thing was, like, I was thinking, like, when he said it, was like, well, he maybe got a little bit over his skis a little bit. He didn't mean that. And then he would do another interview and say it even worse. And I was like, oh no. Mm-hmm. So I'll just say that they've gotten back together before, and I'll hope that they have, but there was a lot of damage. There was a lot of damage done with that book, man.
He doubled down during those media tours.
And tripled.
Brian, yeah, triple down, quadruple down, whatever the next one is. I'm with you. And it's selfishly because, like, those guys are my childhood, right? Like, you never want to see mom and dad fight. You don't want to come home to mom and dad fighting. You don't want MJ and Scottie Pippen, man, the greatest duo of the 90s and the 80s to go out like this. You know what I'm saying? That's what made so many people fall in love with basketball. So then to see the yarn unraveling, it's kind of sad. So I hope for the sake of that, this is one of those things where, yeah, they're disconnected right now, but they'll end up finding their way to each other, squash the beef, until the next time Scottie says something bad about Michael Jordan. But, yeah, they need to squash it for sure.
Yes. I like beef, though. I feel like beefs need to exist, and that's what makes sports good.
Pescatarian, baby.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.